What if I told you that 2025 ending red wasn't a failure but a warning? For the first time ever, Bitcoin has closed to red in a post-halving year, topping out in October at around $126,000. And since that top, Bitcoin has dropped over 30%. Most people are still waiting for the bull market to continue, but the charts are telling a very different story. In this video, I want to break down what I think is gonna happen in 2026 for Bitcoin and the crypto market. So let's start by talking how 2025 ended. 2025 ended up being a red year, which is the first time we have seen that in a post-halving year. This again was a post-halving year, and if you look at the 4-year cycle, historically, this is the time where the market tops out, more specifically in Q4 of the post-halving year. And that's exactly what has happened so far. Bitcoin peaked at the start of October around $126,000. So if that is the cycle top and we follow this 4-year cycle pattern, then the bear market would already have started. From that October top, Bitcoin has been in a downtrend for about 3 months now, and so far we have already dropped about 30% to the downside. I still believe in the 4-year cycle, and if you break things down, not much has actually changed. We topped out in Q4 of a post-halving year like we have done the other cycles, and so far after that top we have been on a downtrend. Now a lot of people argued that we never really saw that euphoria phase like we did the other cycles, and I can understand where they're coming from, but I think the main reason why we haven't seen this euphoria phase is because this cycle had way more institutional investors than retail investors compared to the other cycles. Because of that, instead of topping out on euphoria, we top because of apathy, and that's a really important detail. If we take a look at the previous bear markets, they have lasted about 1 year from the cycle top, but those cycles we had that euphoria phase and extreme greed. So if we want a comparison where Bitcoin didn't top out on euphoria, the best year would be 2019, and that's also why I think 2019 is really relevant for what we could see happen in 2026. Back in 2019, where Bitcoin topped and went into a bear market, it didn't nearly last as long as it did in the post-halving years. From the 2019 top, Bitcoin bottomed roughly 259 days later. If we overlay that timing onto the 2025 top, that would suggest we could start seeing signs of a bottom around June 2026. Now I wouldn't put all my eggs into one basket, and if we look at these post-halving year bear markets, that last about 1 year, so that will mean the bear market would be over around October 2026. But timing alone isn't enough, structure matters more. So if we keep that theory that this top looked more like 2019, and so far we have been in a bear market for about 3 months, that leaves us with the big question: what is going to happen in 2026? In my last video I went over some short-term things that could potentially play out. So in this video I'm not really going into detail with all of them. I'm just gonna focus on the one I believe the most, and that is the scenario that follows 2019 step by step. So let's break down what happened in 2019 after we topped out and how things played out going forward. In 2019, Bitcoin topped, and from that top, price dropped down to the 100 EMA. At the 100 EMA, Bitcoin saw a release bounce around 15% up. That level acted as a short-term support and gave the market some breathing room. After that short-term relief, Bitcoin went lower again and swept the lows. Only after the low sweep did Bitcoin rally back up into the bull market support band. That rally convinced a lot of people that the bull market was back, but in reality it was just a counter-trend rally. After falling at the bull market support band, price then rolled over and continued lower, which led to the deeper part of the bear market. So the full 2019 sequence was top, drop to the 100 EMA, 15% relief bounce, sweep the lows, rally into the bull market support band, then continuation lower. That exact structure is what I'm looking at in 2026. If we apply the same structure to where we are now, this is how I think things could play out. We have already seen a drop to the 100 EMA, where we are currently finding support at. It has pumped a little over 15% now from the EMA. After that, I think there's a strong chance we see Bitcoin go lower again and sweep the lows, basically shaking out the late sellers. Then just like 2019, we rallied up to the bull market support band. A move like that would probably make it feel like the bull market was back on, especially after months of downtrend. But if this is truly a bear market we are in, this rally is likely gonna fail and we are going to head deeper into the bear market. After we hit the bull market support band, I think we are gonna head lower, and the target I'm watching is the 200 EMA, which has historically been a key area during bear markets. Now, the exact pattern down is impossible to predict, but the main thing here is I think we are gonna go down to the 200 EMA before we start seeing some support again. As we talked about earlier, historically these bear markets last around 1 year. But again, those cycles ended with euphoria, which we simply didn't have this time. Because we talked on apathy and not euphoria, there is a strong argument that the bear market this time could be shorter than the other times. So it really comes down to what you believe in more, the traditional 4-year cycle bear market, or the idea of the sentiment and structure matters more than the calendar. Personally, I'm going to start to look for signs of a bottom in June, but I think the more realistic outcome is a bottom in October, if we follow the 4-year cycle pattern. So let's talk about why this could be a huge opportunity. I know a lot of people wanted the bull market to continue, including myself. And of course, there's still a chance the market can always surprise. But if we keep this idea of a bear market and the target for the bear market is the 200 EMA, this again could be a huge opportunity. The bear markets is where the money is made. It's not exciting, it's not fun, but historically this is where long-term positions are built. I also want to mention my color system, which I have talked about in some of my other videos. It basically gives an idea if Bitcoin is extremely expensive or extremely cheap or maybe fair valued. And right now, Bitcoin is fair valued according to this. If we go on a downtrend all the way down to the 200 EMA, which is the top of the very cheap zone, those areas have historically been great times to accumulate Bitcoin and also other cryptos because they usually follow what Bitcoin does. So if we are in a bear market, I think it's better to see it as a time to accumulate and not to fear. So here are my final thoughts. 2025 didn't play out how people were expecting it to play out, including myself. My personal target for Bitcoin was 145k and it ended up being 126k. But we also didn't have great macro conditions. QT just ended in December and we are starting to see some rate cuts. So hopefully that can set us up better for the next time we are going to go into a bull market. So this is my prediction for 2026. Of course, no one knows what's going to happen. This is just my opinion from my technical analysis and the history, and it's not financial advice. I'm not a bear. I love Bitcoin, I love crypto, and I would love to see prices just push to new highs in 2026. I honestly hope I'm wrong. But if we go off what the charts are showing, and the history, I think this outcome we talked about makes sense. So if you found this video helpful, make sure to like and subscribe and comment down below what your prediction for 2026 is gonna be. I post market breakdowns, predictions, and trading challenges. I read all the comments and love to hear from you guys. Bear markets don't reward hype, it rewards patience. I'll see you in the next one.